Welcome to this episode of Our College Your Voices. I'm your host, Kara Monroe. Over the last couple of years, the Strategy and Process Improvement team has expanded to include operations, data analytics, and event planning. With the recent addition of talent development and a new focus on change management, the team took a step back to take a holistic view of their strengths and services that they provide to the college. The team found that the term organizational development more appropriately defined the new structure and purpose. With this new structure, the team decided to create a mission statement, which reads, "Organizational development serves campuses and the college with a creative and collaborative spirit. We leverage data and a willingness to adapt in areas of planning, talent development, facilitation, and coaching to produce analytical and effective outcomes with meaning." Let's meet our panel. First up is Kristen Moreland. Hi, Kristen.
Hi, Kara.
Welcome back to the podcast. Would you introduce yourself, please?
Sure. I'm Kristen Moreland, and I'm a Senior Vice President and Chief Strategy Officer.
And next is Jen Fisher. Hi, Jen.
Hi, Kara.
Welcome back. And
Thank you.
I think, is this your first time on in your new role?
It is.
It is. Excellent. So tell folks what you do now, because some people may be thinking of you in a different role.
That's true. I used to handle the employee benefit program, and my new title is the Assistant Vice President of Strategy and Innovation.
Excellent. Welcome to the show. And next up is Jeff Kraft. And I'm going to try not to call you Crafty during this episode, but I might. Jeff Kraft, welcome.
Crafty is fine. I'm good with that, Kara.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us today. I am the Assistant Vice President for Continuous Improvement.
And Corey Vogt. Hi, Corey.
Hello, Kara.
Would you tell us a little bit about yourself? I think this is the first time we've let you on a podcast episode. Won't be the last, though, I guess.
Normally I'm stuck in the IT closet. Yeah. I'm the Executive Director of Strategic Analytics for the college.
And last but not least is Mark Pike, who I think you're the newest member of the team. Is that right, Mark?
I am, Kara. I'm a first-time participant to the podcast, long-time listener. And
Excellent.
My title is Assistant Director of Change Management. So excited to be with you today.
Well, we are glad to have all of you together. And I just have a few questions, but I think you all are going to go down a wide range of areas because, as your mission statement said, you have a lot of different things that you do as services to promote organizational development. So can you give us some background on how this idea developed for organizational development?
When President Ellspermann came to us about 6 years ago, she placed a high level of importance on strategy and strategic planning, on continuous improvement, creative problem solving, those kinds of areas. And so she had tasked me with that area about 6 years ago. And over time, it's grown into a more all-encompassing type of internal consulting, really. And so what we try to do is provide services to our internal clients, meaning those on campuses and those in systems office, and provide them with organizational development services that can help them achieve their goals. And so as we started looking around at a good way to explain what we do, we actually did some research on other community colleges, and we found one or two others that had something along the lines of organizational development. So we researched that a little bit and decided that that really was a good way to explain what we do. And so we held a retreat several months ago where, we came up with the mission statement that you read and really just tried to figure out how do we present ourselves to our internal constituents in a way that makes sense and in a way that makes us seem approachable and ready to help. And so we, have branded ourselves organizational development, and we've been doing kind of a road show around that and developed a sell sheet and some other things that could help explain to the college what we do and how we do it.
It's a good high level overview, but let's dig into those different services that you provide. And I give a little bit of a high level in that, but what are all the services that, I know we're not going to cover all of them, but what are the high level services that the team provides?
So we also offer event planning. So if you have a large scale event or even a small campus-based event, we have a couple of great event planners. Gretchen and Madeline aren't with us today on this podcast, but they're amazing in terms of using technology to enable, great user experience at events. They do all the planning. They'll help with budgeting and making sure that it goes off without a hitch. So that's a very valuable piece of what our team does. And we're always willing to help with that type of planning.
strategy development. And so what does that mean? That's super vague. So one of the things that our team helps do is develop different strategies and tactics to help different campuses and functional areas meet their goals. This could be through the college's strategic plan, of course, but also doing specific initiatives, whether it's through 40X or SWOT analysis. Krista mentioned creative problem solving. All of those things kind of land in the area of strategy development. That's kind of that in a nutshell. I'm going to turn it over to Corey next to talk about data.
Sure. So obviously my part has to do with the data side of things, which isn't really its own piece. A lot of times it's usually just kind of helping other pieces along, kind of providing the data and maybe the insights to help focus efforts and resources where they might be most useful or be most needed. I don't really have like my own specific goal other than trying to help other people do their roles and meet their goals most efficiently and effectively.
Data is where we should start when we're developing strategy, and it's where we should check to see how we're doing with strategy. Very cool.
Right. And to add on to what Corey said, Kara, Corey's underestimating his skill set
Significantly.
We rely on Corey to help us with big picture data. So for example, if we have a project like Project Who's Your Recruit, where we know we're going to need an evaluation of that program and to see how it's going to turn out. So then we go to Corey and his expertise to help us frame that out, look at how we're going to measure success and really pull the data in for that. In addition to that, Corey helps us with all of our strategic metrics. So Jen mentioned strategic planning and development. We also, measure success of the strategic plan. We do the implementation plans. We report out on the metrics. Corey builds all the dashboards. And so we've really done a lot with Tableau in terms of making that strategic data more available to the end user.
Yeah, and kind of back to the Project Who's Your Recruit. It's one of my, I guess I do have goals specifically besides just helping other people. One of the goals I'd like for the college is to really try to help make the data and the reporting piece an earlier part of project development or initiatives as we're doing it. I think a lot of times it can fall into an afterthought where, you get halfway through and it's like, I wonder how we're doing or things like that. Whereas maybe the data capture hasn't been there initially. So you're kind of trying to put a puzzle together with missing pieces sometimes. So that's one of my things is to try to help the college, think through the data pieces early on for projects and initiatives so that when we want to do the outcomes analysis or look at trends and things like that, we have all the pieces to put together to make it a full rich data set instead of picking and choosing what we might have accidentally captured instead of being intentional.
And Crafty, I'm going to make you go next.
Thanks for the opportunity again to talk today. We use a lot of the work that's coming out of strategy. So Jen's side of the house and all the teams that work together to generate that strategy and those tactics. And a lot of those drive into projects. And so we do a lot of work on the project side of the house. We do project management itself, whether that's statewide projects or we've got campus projects that we assist with as well, such as down in Columbus. We're doing a bring your own laptop project down there for the Columbus campus. And it's been a lot of fun to work with that team down there recently. We also look at projects from a lean perspective, from a process improvement perspective to optimize and eliminate waste. From the training aspect, we also teach the Ivy Lean program. So we've got a couple sessions here coming up in the next month or so, one virtual, one face-to-face. We do those. And in each of those efforts, many of those efforts, Corey's assistance is tremendous because obviously in those efforts, we're looking at data and how we are operating currently to get those benchmarks before we go in and make those improvements to ensure that we get success for the organization. Another piece that we are doing and just picked up recently at the college is the impact process. If you're not familiar with impact yet, it's initiation, measure, project/process, action, and all of that is done to transform the college and move the college forward. So in a nutshell, what it is, it's a way for the campuses to be aware and cognizant of projects that originate out of the systems office and for projects coming off the campuses, a chance for the systems office to review those. And all of those review processes happen in advance of the actual implementation phase. So we go from concept to implementation. And so that's what we've been doing recently.
And Mark?
The change piece. Whenever people stop me on campus, they often ask for kind of an explanation of what change management is. And I always like to start with the reality that, in order to meet the needs of our students, our communities that we work and serve in, and our employees, we're going to have to continually change. So, that can look very differently from the technical side. But from the people side, we find that most people psychologically respond to change very similarly, depending on their past experiences. So we offer a methodology that allows you to develop communication plans, training plans, sustainment plans, developing sponsorship coalition networks. And again, speaking to Corey's value, thinking about how to track progress in a way that is both systematic and continual throughout your change. And we find that almost always leads to better outcomes. So we also offer a change management training for anybody on a campus that feels that they could use a little more information about how to navigate a change. We have local change agents on the campuses. So we have a lot of services that we can offer, and hopefully that leads to a culture that is more ready to change and ready to take on the challenges that the future presents to us.
Excellent. I think that is a really good transition because we're all dealing with change. We're all trying to implement change in different ways. And so that's a good transition to my next question, which is who can reach out to the organizational development team?
Anyone. Yeah.
I don't think people online, nobody could necessarily hear that, but like all 6 Zoom boxes broke up or woke up and lit up at that point. They all went, everybody. Kristen, sorry, I interrupted you. Go ahead.
Yeah. So actually, everyone internally can. And so that means anybody on a campus, anybody in systems office. And actually, sometimes we get external requests too from like community partners, people who are engaged with Ivy Tech, and we'll go and help facilitate. That's another big piece. And I'm not sure anyone mentioned it yet, but it's the facilitation, right? So we can help with listening sessions, with facilitating feedback, with coming up with kind of common themes and moving things forward. We do full Simplex sessions. And so I know we talked about Simplex on the podcast before, but we certainly do that. We do a lot of, and Jen mentioned strategy development, but also using that tool set of strategy development to help in particular smaller projects. So really what it comes down to is if you have something that you think you need help with, we have a portal you can go to and you can put in a request, and then it comes to the team and we look at that and then come back to you and say, here's what we think we can do, or here's what we think would be the best approach to help solve this problem for you. So really we're problem solvers, and we have a toolkit, that we bring to the table for anybody internally.
Very good. And you said you have a portal. So could you send that to me and we'll put it in the show notes?
Sure. Happy
Excellent. To. Okay, very good. So my last question for all of you today is a little forward thinking. Since you are charged with sort of leading change at Ivy Tech and leading organizational development, 5 years from now, what do you hope the organizational development team has accomplished? How do you think Ivy Tech will look different as a result of your work?
I think in 5 years, you'll see a track record of successful change that will lead to, like I referenced earlier, an organizational culture that is ready to take on these challenges, that has good experiences and believes that the college can take on anything that the future throws at us. And I think that as we move forward, this toolbox of services is only going to expand, and I look forward to seeing where it goes. I really view our team as capacity builders for all the other fantastic folks here at Ivy Tech. We might not be the subject matter experts. We can certainly help you serve your students, your employees, and the communities that you work in.
I almost want us to be no big deal. Like we are just an automatic part of what people think of when they're thinking of the future. One of the things we didn't mention are the talent development programs that are now under organizational development. We've done several podcasts on all of the different talent development programs that we have. And I want people to just think of us as a natural part of the evolution of their their future here as employees, whether it's individually or as a group on a campus or in a functional area.
Yeah, I'll double down on that. I think that's almost exactly what I was wanting to say as well, where it doesn't feel like it's a thing anymore. It's just, that's the default. From my perspective, especially, there's good data around projects that are happening. It's easily accessible. It's easily visualized so that you're not spending your time gathering and analyzing and parsing through and combining different data sets. It's just, you have it available, it's there. And that's the default, not like a nice to have for a few things.
Kind of making more informed decisions, right, Corey?
Yeah. Trying to get, we all try to be, and as much as we can be, we are data focused and try to, set our decisions around what the data says. But if we can make that, faster and more easily accessible and easier to figure out what it's actually telling you, as opposed to just looking at a table of data, we can just move and change more quickly and efficiently. So.
Well, I'll just give kudos to all of you because I'm a regular client of organizational development, and I reach out to all of you on a very regular basis for a wide array of things. And so I would urge, as our call to action today, all of my colleagues across the state, that when you are faced with an opportunity or a challenge or project, consider utilizing the resources available from organizational development. They can help you with expanding your capacity to engage in the sort of front end work for solving a problem, where you might not know like who could help facilitate listening sessions or who could help conduct a focus group or even design a focus group. They've got the resources to do that and the resources to help with data analysis and with strategic thinking and with process improvement. So do make sure to reach out to them to let them know that. And I will include the link to their portal in the show notes today. As we wrap up today, I also want to say, I know you're in a search for the new AVP for talent development. And so when that person is on, we'll do another episode with talent development. I think that would be a good way to meet that person. So Jen, thanks for reminding us of that when you were talking. That was good. Thanks again for joining this episode of Our College Your Voices. I want to thank today's panelists, Kristen Moreland, Senior Vice President and Chief Strategy Officer, Jen Fisher, Assistant Vice President for Strategy and Innovation, Jeff Kraft, Assistant Vice President for Continuous Improvement, Corey Vogt, Executive Director of Strategic Analytics, and Mark Pike, Assistant Director of Change Management. I'm your host, Kara Monroe. You can connect with me on Twitter at K&M Tweets. Our producer is Sarah Ferguson. You can reach us by email at ourcollegeyourvoices@ivytech.edu. If you're an Ivy Tech faculty or staff member, you can join our Microsoft Teams listener community. I send out instructions on that somewhat occasionally in my weekly emails. Our websites where you'll find links to our show notes is ivytech.edu/podcast. Production assistance for this and every episode provided by Becky Campbell and the Ivy Tech Community College Creative Services team. Our podcast concept is by Matthew Pittman. Theme music and post-production services provided by Jen Eads at the Brassie Broadcasting Company. And we will talk to you next time on Our College, Your Voices.